Okay, we just launched the first ads to home qualifiers. That means this company is officially live. And in this video, I'm going to break down all of the steps that we've used to basically build out this company from scratch. And you're going to see exactly where our starting point is. So this is episode 1, the launch. For the last few weeks, we've been building out all of the final touches on the software and all of the marketing infrastructure and assets that we need to do to actually get this thing live. So the offer, the funnels, the sales process, all of the infrastructure on the back end, the attribution, the tracking, the website, the ads, you name it, we've been building it. I've been using AI a lot, mostly to help me get volume of copy out. So there's so many things that we need copy for that I'm going to get into in this video. And personally, it's been really, really cool to see all of the skills that I've been building over the last 6 or 7 years actually come into one full project instead of sort of seeming like they've been scattered. So it's been really, really cool to finally feel like all of these skills have a massive utility. So the first thing that we had to put together when it came to home qualifiers was, of course, the offer. What are we actually offering the marketplace? And the way that I started with the offer was figuring out the problem that we're trying to solve. So I believe that achieving home ownership in 2026 has become exponentially harder, and we want to help people that don't currently have the tools or resources to do so to actually get into their first home. So we put together a simple 3-step process that helps them get there, and the timeline is completely flexible to them. Number 1, we optimize their credit profile. So no matter where their credit's at, we want to get them the highest possible credit score that's going to actually give them the lowest possible rates. So if they're not approved, then we can help them get to the point of being approved. And if they are already approved already, we want to get them a higher score that's going to give them a lower payment, which just puts more money back in their pocket. Now, part 2 is really where the services part that comes in. This is where we sit down with our clients and actually work out what are the other requirements that they need to get into a home. We could be looking at that down payment, we could be looking at that debt to income ratio, the kind of house price they're looking for, and actually build them a customized game plan that's going to help them achieve home ownership. And once we actually help them walk through that, because we check in with them every single month, then we're actually going to pass them off to a lender, which is step 3, where they actually get qualified onto their home. So it's simple. Get their credit fixed, get their down payment and debt to income ratio in the right window so they can actually get approved, and then connect them with the lender, and we actually are able to monetize this every step of the way. So that's pretty much what the offer is. And then we actually have to work out step 2, which is the funnel. So if I've learned anything in my time in business, it's don't think that you know everything and let the data tell you the story. So for this reason, I decided that why not just launch 2 funnels, right? If you don't know already, software takes a long time to build. So when it comes to building out the marketing, we have a lot of time to kind of figure out how we want to go about this. So we built out 2 funnels. Both of them are pretty simple. It's add to an opt-in to a video to then signing up. Right? So they have the same funnel structure, and we're testing different types of content on them. So the first funnel that we have was the webinar funnel, right? It's an image ad that's selling a free class, and then we're basically getting them to give us their details, and then we can have them watch the video on the back end and then sign up to the platform. Now the second is a bit more of a direct offer approach, which is what I found is some of the easiest way to kind of write copy and get an offer validated early on. So we created a direct offer video ad that goes to the same opt-in page, and then a direct offer VSL on the back end with the offer outlined. So one of them is a little bit more educational, the other one is a little bit more direct, and we're just going to test them against each other and sort of see what the early data says. So I'm running both of them just to see which one resonates more, which one actually gets us better metrics, but there are a few things that I'm going to be keeping the same. The copy on the ads is going to say the exact same. The landing page where they opt in is going to say the exact same, so we remove that as a variable. The landing page where they actually watch the video is going to say the exact same, so we can make sure the view rate, there's no differences between any of those. And the back-end sales process is going to be the exact same too. I mean, I'm definitely not trying to test 2 different sales processes. So all we're testing is the ads and the VSLs against each other and which one is going to resonate more. Now, part number 3 of what I've been building out is the sales process. And the reason why I wanted to put these on opt-in funnels and gather their information, their email and phone number as early as possible is so that I could actually reach out if they haven't been converting and find out why, and actually get that in the trenches customer feedback by speaking to these people directly. I built the opt-in so I could pretty much call them. The goal is not to set them up onto a sales call. It's a really, really low ticket product, so I'm not trying to do that, but it's really more just for early feedback in the early stages of this funnel. Now, the goal is for the educational webinar and the VSL to convert them into paying customers in a perfect world. But if they don't convert, I can actually give them a call and find out what's going on, which is pretty much what I'm doing. So there's no sales call involved, but it's pretty much just to find out what's going on. The way that I've set this up is we send out automated emails and SMSs as standard, basically giving them the content, as well as obviously them landing on that page, which has the content straight away. So there's multiple ways for them to reach out and get the content. And we basically call them and finding out, like I'm pretty much trying to convert them on the back end, right? Now, what I wanted to break down with you is a really cool tagging process that I just figured out how to build out. And the pain point that I'm trying to solve with this specific platform or this process right now is the pain point that I've experienced as a sales rep, which is calling people and then having to text them and then having to email them and like all of these different things. So I figured out a way that I can make it really, really simple for your sales reps to be able to just basically dial people just by adding a quick tag, and then all they have to focus on is dialing. They don't have to focus on the follow-up text. So in this process, once they actually opted in, we give them 2 days to watch the content, and on day 3, we're going to give them a call if they haven't signed up. So then if they don't answer, we want to email and SMS them, which I'm going to show you how to completely automate. Step 1, the lead's going to come into the pipeline, and then they're going to move it to the attempted pipeline right next to it, meaning I've actually attempted to call this lead. What that's going to do is it's automatically going to send the first email and it's going to send the first SMS. It's going to add a tag saying step 1 complete. Then it's going to wait a period of however long you want to determine that they need to basically wait until they're ready for step 2. So it's going to add a note that I can see inside of the pipeline that says ready for step 2. They can see, okay, I can call this person again on step 2. And they basically call them every single step. Not until they see that note that they need to worry about calling that person again. So that when they're working through the pipeline, they don't have to worry about emailing anyone, texting anyone. They just have to worry about who has ready for the next step. When it comes to step 2, they need to dial that person, and if they don't respond, they add the tag step 2 complete. It's going to send that to the next SMS. It's going to wait a day and send that next email, and then it's going to send that note that says ready for step 3. The sales rep doesn't have to worry about anything except for dialing that person, adding that tag, and then just worrying about who is ready to be called. So that's pretty much the starting process, the offer, the funnel, and the sales process. And the rest of it is really the GHL infrastructure, which there's 1,000 different pieces that go into that. The pipeline, the funnels, the forms, everything setting up. So that's just what I've been doing. So how have I been leveraging AI to help me increase my output with all of this process? Well, when it comes to starting a project, I've learned that it's really easy to get an AI on your side, fully trained up on everything that you know, just so you can reach out and like ask it questions when you find yourself getting bottlenecked. So the way that I've been doing this is I started the project where I just dumped in all of the information that I just gave you, the offer, the funnels, everything that I put together, and I do multiple things. I would create multiple conversations inside of this project. And then what I do is I get it to help me out. So I always have a CEO, right? And the prompt that I give it is simple. I want you to be the CEO and the strategist of this company, and I want you to help me turn it into a multi-7-figure business. I want you to basically treat this exactly like your own and help me with any problems that arise. Then I create other conversations that are like heads of departments. And so for example, the next thing I wheeled out was a copywriter. And I wanted to inject all of my previous winning copy and other like copy concepts that I like to do. I'm personally like a conversational copywriter, so I really like it where it's a bit more flowy and a bit more natural. So I train up my copywriter, and that's been one that I've been hammering out, helping me with all of the VSL scripts, the webinar frameworks, all of the ads, the hooks, and all these various different things. And that's been really, really huge too. And the other third thing that I always have as the base infrastructure is like a personal assistant. This is where I can just screenshot whatever's going on, what I'm stuck on, and I just dump it in there. And it's sort of like, it's like a random AI conversation that just like, hey, how do I fix this piece of tracking? How do I do this on this funnel? How do I get this going? And it just kind of helps me with like random little things, right? But it still has the context of the entire process. And then as we build things out moving forward, we can do other things. So content bots, sales helpers, things like that. But I always want to build out that project at a base level and then just add things into it over time. And it really, really helps having all of the context, all of the information, and then you can just feed it more and more information. And a quick trick that I always do when I'm building out these projects is I dump all of this information in as much as I can possibly imagine. And then I say to it, hey, I want you to ask me as many questions as you need to ask me to figure out exactly what you need to know so that you can help with this project. So it's going to ask me like 15 questions that I haven't basically put in, and then I just voice note the answer to all of them. And as I'm actually giving the context on the voice notes, it's actually helping me expand upon all of this extra information. So it might ask me a question and I'm going to expand upon it, and then I just say, okay, keep going, keep going, keep going. And by the end of that first conversation with that CEO, I literally know already the biggest constraint in the business because it's actually trying to work it out. So the conversational side of AI is something that I'm really, really dialed in on. And that's how I've been basically helping you build out all of this infrastructure over the last few weeks. Now, the final thing that I've learned over the last few weeks has been a really, really cool lesson. And I wanted to start it off with a story of when me and my mate went to a Tom Bilyeu conference in like 2019, I think. When Tom Bilyeu came, who was like the main speaker, he told us this story. Pretty much the crux of it was skills have utility. Just build as many skills as you possibly can, and they're just going to come in handy later on. And never have I actually received the message of that conference as I just did in the last month. Because in the last 5 or 6 years, I've been building a lot of different skills, and they haven't always made sense, and sometimes it's felt frustrating. There's certainly been times where I've compared myself to other people, where they're at, where they're building this specific skill set, and they're super dialed in, and they're becoming a master in that field. And I generally have been a bit more of a generalist, right? I've become decent at sales, decent at copy, decent at building operations, all of the back-end infrastructure. And I've sort of at times questioned, where is this all leading to? Spending all this time working out copy and marketing, I'm building ads, I'm teaching myself how to run ads, I'm doing all of these different things, but I feel like sometimes I'm just spinning my wheels. But no more in the last couple of months have I realized that skills have utility, because now I've been able to tie them all together, and I would not have been able to basically build a company and an offer from end to end without building all of those skills over the last 5 years. So the biggest lesson for me personally was that the skills that I've built are gonna come in handy one day. And it might not make sense for you right now if you're just kind of building skills and you don't really know where it's gonna go, but I promise you, 2 or 3 years down the line, they're gonna come in handy. So it's been really interesting to sort of reflect back on all of the stuff that I've been building over the last 5 years and actually understand that, hey, all of this is just tying together perfectly for me to actually be in this opportunity right now. If you're in a position where you're basically building skills and you're like not really sure what you're doing, or you're like thinking that you might want to teach yourself a skill, but you're not really sure how it's going to play out, skills are never going to be a bad thing to have, right? The more you have, the more utility you're going to have. And I do believe personally that we're heading into an era where AI is going to be dominating a lot of these little things. So your ability to bring more to the table is going to be something that's going to be a huge resource for you personally as you move into this era where, quite frankly, I don't think anyone really knows what's going to happen. So that's it for episode 1. That's the structure of everything that we're going to be doing in Home Qualifiers: the offer, the funnels, the sales process. And next week, I'm actually going to have a full week of data that I can actually break down what's going on, what happened, and where we're going to be heading based on that data. So that's kind of the exciting part about this. I can give my best guess at what we should do to start off with, but I'm always going to follow the data and work out what's going to happen. So in next week's video, we're actually going to have our first week's data. We can work out what worked, what didn't work, what problems that we're now having, and this is where it's going to start getting real. So I'll see you there.